What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox. Today we are joined with our guy, Kenny Bets Big. Kenny, you look like you got a little tan going on there. How are things out there in Jersey?
Not too bad. Can't complain. Things could be worse, I guess. But yeah, yesterday I went to the Phillies Orioles game,
Ooh, fun.
and it was cool. First time at Camden Yards, beautiful ballpark. People really nice, other than a couple of the workers for the Orioles. Maria was like, it was almost a fight. I was almost one of those clips that you see go circulating.
You almost fought with stadium workers?
Well, so it was actually kind of crazy, and I was happy to see, because usually Maria just always assumes I'm like the wrong person here, because I don't hold back. I'll say what I think. So, but a lot of the fans in the surrounding area all came up to me. They're like, "Dude, you were so right there. Like, that guy was a POS." And
what happened? What did you allegedly do?
So long story short, it was really hot. We were baking in the sun. So I was like, I got to go get a drink, cool down. We're walking back to our seats, and I guess they had like where the cameras go around, and they were like filming certain people. So they're like blocking the aisleway. So I couldn't walk down to my seats. So the workers were like, "Hey, just hang out right here, and then you can go down." I was like, "All right, cool, no problem."
Yeah.
This guy that works there comes like trying to like push past me with some kid. And I was like, and I didn't know he worked there at first, but I was like, "Hey man, they're just telling us like we got to hang out here. Like, just give us." And he's like, "Dude, I work here." And I was like, "All right, no problem." And he's like, telling me to move. I'm like, "Dude, where do you want me to go? There's a railing here."
Yeah.
Long story short, the guy starts like cursing at me. He's saying things about my mom. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah. It was insane. And that's the thing.
Now, was your mother there, or he was just like hypothetical mom?
No. Yeah. Okay, he was just getting disrespectful. So, I don't like being disrespected. So things almost escalated. And then there was a Phillies fan, and he got up. He's like, "Hey man, this guy is not worth it." And then I thought about it, and I was like, "All right,
and
you're
it's
right."
not.
And cooler heads prevail.
I always appreciate those people that can just snap you out of the moment. Otherwise, because sometimes crowds just keep escalating and escalating. They like to see a fight rather than break it up. But yeah, it seems like that guy was on a power trip and clearly in some kind of bad mood and took it out. Well, I'm glad that you didn't end up being a viral clip punching the popcorn guy or whoever he was, because that would make today's episode a little bit more interesting. But Kenny, speaking of things getting interesting, or are they? I don't know. NBA Finals. The Mavs survived, and did they? Dallas 122, Boston 84. It was a good old-fashioned beatdown. However, I think a lot of us know that the Celtics, coming out of the half, were not interested in that game anymore. Just thought, we'll just take this one home to win in front of our own fans. It was the third largest win for Dallas. That was 38 points in finals history. The largest lead was 48. It was the third largest loss in playoff history for the Celtics. Interesting fact, Kenny, did you know that the last times the Celtics won their NBA title, it was on June 17th, today, right? Today is June 17th in 2008. You think they do it tonight?
I do. Fun fact for you, there's never been a team that has come back from down 3-0 to win the finals. Yeah. There's also never been a team that's won the finals losing a game by more than 38 points.
Ooh.
So, something's got to give.
That one. I had. So, all right. So Boston laying 6.5 here. This total 209.5. It's actually a pretty high total considering how low scoring these games have been. I'll tell you what, I'm laying the 6.5 with Boston. Yes. I feel like game fours, especially when it could be a sweep, are tricky. And all of a sudden the one team that doesn't want to be swept comes alive in front of their home crowd. And that was what it was. The Celtics, very obviously, even in the second quarter when it started getting out of hand, we're like, all right, we're not going to get injured in this one. We're just going to go through the motions, come back and win this one at home. I don't think Dallas wins this game. I don't even think it's going to be close. I think this is going to be a beatdown.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's one of my favorite betting spots, like for people listening, just going forward into, time and it kind of makes sense. Like the same thing happened in hockey with the Oilers and the Panthers, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Eight goals. They couldn't buy a goal for the first 3 games.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And you look at the series and the season, like the Panthers were dominating the Oilers all season. The Celtics were embarrassing the Mavericks. The games 1, 2, and 3, they were close at points, but when the Celtics turned it on, they dominated and they controlled the game. And I feel like it's one of those things where they look at hey, we have a chance to win banner 18 on home
Yeah.
floor, another
Yeah.
game check, another
Yep.
game to sell more tickets.
Yep.
Why would you not go home and win it at home? It's got to feel better there. So yeah, I think the Celtics win this one going away. I don't think it's going to be close. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take Boston -6.5.
And here's the thing. I mean, obviously, Kyrie played really well at home the last 2 games, but he has not been able to play well in Boston. So he's going to be a huge X factor here. You look at Luca and Kyrie. Now, in game 4, they did outscore the Celtics starting lineup 50-44. But let's look at the MVP race right now. So Jaylen Brown had the fewest points in his playoff game, career since 2019 with only 10 points. He had Jason Tatum. He was 4 for 10 field goals, 0 games above 50% field goal percentage in 10 career final games. So it was his worst game as well. And when we look at this MVP, it's interesting because Jason Tatum still, well, I guess he's not the favorite anymore. He's been bumped down. He started off this series as the favorite. Jaylen Brown has surpassed him, heavy favorite now, -240 according to our friends over at Caesars. You got Tatum at +235. You got Luca at 12-1 here. Now, you already said no team has ever come back from 0-3. We've seen the difference in how how the Mavericks and particularly Kyrie Irving plays at home versus in Boston. Like, there's even if they win this game, which I don't think will happen, but I will say this has been a rough series for me to bet because it's just not gone the way I thought it was going to go in pretty much every single game. So tell me at your own risk, people. But I do think anyway. So Jaylen Brown. Is there any value here in betting Tatum, or do you think it's Jaylen Brown's to lose?
No, I think there's a ton of value in betting Jason Tatum
Okay.
because I don't think, Jaylen Brown he's played better the first, couple games, but he hasn't played where it's like, oh, Jaylen Brown is the reason that these guys are winning these games.
Yeah.
It's not like he was hitting game winning shots in clutch moments to really secure that. And, one of my I liked the Celtics coming into this series for the main reason of I just didn't see Jason Tatum. I mean, again, this gets into, the game would have to be fixed for this to play out this way. But the NBA, for whatever reason, like Jason Tatum is being pushed as the face of the league. Like there's guys like Ant Edwards, in my opinion, way better basketball player, more marketable, more personable. But you got guys like Jason Tatum kind of getting pushed
Because of Deuce. Everybody likes his son.
Yeah.
Deuce.
yeah, right. Jason Tatum's son. But for whatever reason, he's being pushed as kind of the next face of the league.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him going 0-3 in his first 3 finals appearances. So I would have been shocked if they lost this one coming in. And yeah, I think the games that they've had are kind of neck and neck. Tatum hasn't played his best basketball.
Yeah.
But if he comes out tonight and puts up 40 in a game, series clinching game, why wouldn't they give him the MVP? So yeah, I think, sprinkling a couple bucks on Tatum to win it is probably not a bad idea.
I agree. I think obviously anyone betting on MVP this late in the game, like probably, the value for the most part has gone. But I agree with you. I mean, certainly the value is gone on Jaylen Brown. If you bet Jaylen Brown to win MVP ahead of the series, you could have got him at 6-1, right? And look at now he's -240, -230, depending on where you get it. So yeah, I would say if you are going to bet this, then sprinkling a little bit on Tatum would be the way to go. But it's interesting because even as Jaylen Brown was the Eastern Conference VIP, like you said, books, NBA, whatever, still wanted it to be Tatum. So we'll see who goes off. I mean, whoever has the better game clearly is going to win this. There's no value in betting Jaylen Brown here, so definitely go with that. Yeah.
Do you know Jaylen Brown in the off season he builds robots for NASA? Did you know?
So we had Frank Michael Smith on a few weeks ago, and he did this entire video. I don't know if you've seen it, where I didn't know. I mean, obviously I knew that he went to Cal. I didn't realize that he was in the chess club. I didn't realize that he interns over with NASA and he's learning Arabic. The guy is just from an intellect level, just on a different level. Absolutely insane. But I do want to get your thoughts on some other news in the NBA. One, and we talked about this with our guest last week, Dan Hurley not taking the Lakers job, turning down the $70 million to go. Now, apparently he was promised $100 million, so they shortchanged him, is what I've heard, to the $70 million. So he chose to stay in college. Good move, bad move?
Great move. Great
Yeah.
move. I think
The
in
Lakers job is not that attractive.
no,
I mean,
you
yeah,
know, I get LeBron is LeBron, but like
for
just
one
look,
more year.
yeah, LeBron is you take over that job, you know, you're not making really any, you're not calling the shots. So for a guy
Yeah.
like Dan Hurley, who, you know, he's the guy at UConn, he's making all the calls, he's the head honcho, to then kind of relegate yourself to a, you know, a backseat position, to just let LeBron call the shots. Not all money is good money, Katie. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to see him stay at college. I always find it crazy when some of these guys, you know, like for example, like Coach Cal, I'm a Kentucky fan, so I'll just use him as an example.
Yeah.
Lifetime contract. He's running the show in Kentucky. One of like the, you know, Kentucky basketball is Kentucky.
Yeah.
So like, why would those guys ever even contemplate leaving that position, right? Like you're treated like royalty at
Right.
like one of the biggest college campuses in the country. So
Right.
I think it was a good idea for him to stay.
Yeah, and people keep being like, "How could you turn down that amount of money?" But like you said, not all money is good money. You gotta think about your lifestyle, you gotta think about being, two-time back-to-back champions, going for 3P, being the best school in college versus a Lakers team that's really gonna go through a lot of changes, both this year and in years to come because, LeBron's not sticking around for too much, longer. And then the other thing is Joel Embiid was on the ESPN broadcast the other day, and I believe he said he's eyeing Paul George. Would you be surprised if George jumped over and signed with Philly?
No, the NBA has become so comical. These guys just jumping around. You know, it's kind of like girls in the club going from section to section. Like, oh, these guys got this bottle. Let me go over there, and then you know, oh, this section looks more fun, so let me go over there. It's you know, these guys are calling their own shots. They don't want to play. They gain like James Harden gaining weight, putting on the fat suit. You getting teams to trade them. It's the NBA is becoming hard to watch, and I
Yeah,
think it's like the worst.
it's like a soap opera.
Yeah. It doesn't even seem real, but no, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't think it would be a good fit for Philly. I don't really see how he would fit in well with Maxey and Embiid. But hey, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel it. All right, Kenny, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're talking NFL. We're going to look at the
can't
NFC
wait.
East, look at some win totals, look at some division winners, and give you some early leans and best bets for the NFC East. You're watching Moxie Bets. Don't go anywhere. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. Back here on Moxie Bets with our guy Kenny Bets Big. This is presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Shout out to them. All right, moving on, Kenny Bets Big. First of all, what's the biggest bet you've done recently?
So, well, yesterday I went big on. I had the Orioles money line and
Ooh,
Adley Rutschman to get a hit. It was like plus 120 parlay.
nice.
So I put a decent amount on that. Maria put
Good.
it. She came to the game with me, obviously, so she put it in. She was
I
happy
love
to get a
it.
bet. It's funny because as we were walking in, someone in front of us had an Adley Rutschman jersey on. And she doesn't know who these people are. She doesn't know really what I'm saying, but I was like, that guy's going to hit a home run today. Watch. Because if you follow baseball, Adley Rutschman has like a very good relationship with his dad. He was pitching to him in the home run
Oh, I
derby.
love these stories.
And
Yeah.
on Father's Day, it just made sense, Adley Rutschman to
Mhm.
hit a home run, and he went yard. So it was, yesterday was a good day. It was a good day.
Did Maria bet on that? Was she like, okay, let's put money on it?
No, we didn't take him to do the home run. Unfortunately,
Ah,
I got soft and I just went the
yeah.
safe route. But it hit. You know, it hit. It was plus 120. I put a couple grand on that. She put
Love
200
it.
bucks on it, so she was happy.
Yeah, she got a purse. She said,
Yeah,
okay, let's buy me some new shoes and a handbag.
yeah.
I love that. All right. So I would assume that you don't really bet big on futures though, right? That's not something you put a ton of money on, or is that something that you believe in?
Not a ton,
No.
you know, because
Yeah.
usually the future odds are so good that you could put like, you know, for example, I bet Portugal to win the Euro Cup. So they were
Ooh.
plus 650. I put 500
Yeah.
bucks on it.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. Because the payout, because you don't want to have your money tied up that long either.
exactly. Yeah. You know,
Makes
because
sense.
you know, like if you're doing an NFL season long future, that's like 4 or 5 months that you're going to be waiting to get your money back. And obviously, you know, if depending on the odds and what the return on your money is, it's still worth it. It makes sense, but yeah, it's not fun tying up your money hoping to hit a bet.
No, definitely not. All right. So what one team in the NFC East that I'm not putting any money on is the Philadelphia Eagles. Their win total 10.5, division odds to win the NFC East, plus 115. I'm gonna have to pull this up on Caesars. They were tied with Dallas, or maybe they pulled in front of Dallas as the leaders, to make the playoffs, minus 290. Super Bowl odds 14-1. Now, shout out to Kevin, who is going to be editing this podcast because he has to sit here and listen to me trash the Eagles every single week. We love you, Kevin. But I say it all the time. I don't believe in this team. I think that this locker room was completely just demoralized last season. Lost some coordinators. Love Vic Fangio. I'm not sure that Nick Sirianni has the locker room. You look at how they perform down the stretch, and all of a sudden we think they're going to come back this year and be, playoff Super Bowl ready. You lost Jason Kelsey, one of the best O linemen in the league. The tush push is going to be a lot harder without him. Yes, you got Saquon Barkley. Maybe the offense changes a little bit. 10.5, too high for me, and I don't think they win the division. What do you think?
You don't think they would? So, question: do you think
Well, look, it's a two horse race, right,
Yeah.
between them and the Cowboys, and even though the Cowboys have no one to throw to and they got some contracts they got to figure out, I still like them better than the Eagles.
Interesting. Do you think that Travis Kelsey retiring? Do you think there's more to it? Maybe like kind of like you were saying, there's locker room issues. Yeah, Jason Kelsey. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think he saw maybe the writing on the wall? Like, hey, we kind of probably are.
Look, I think he wanted to retire after last season, Kenny. I mean, I don't know if you watched that like Amazon Prime thing that he did, that little documentary that he had. Then they lose the Super Bowl. They got everybody coming back the next year, and he was like, "All right, let's run it back. Let me just do one last push." And then when that didn't happen, and then you see the writing on the wall. I'm sorry, people. It was clearly that game against the 49ers that ruined them, and they just couldn't get it back. And I just don't think it's gonna snap back together, and I don't think that Jalen Hurts has been the same since Shane Steichen left. But I don't see it for Philly.
Yeah, the one thing I do, obviously getting Saquon Barkley, huge. I think the Eagles had a really good draft. They got 2 of the top 3 cornerback prospects in the draft. Somehow
They had a good draft last year.
What was that?
They had a good draft last year.
Yeah, they did. And they looked really good last year. And then, things kind of fell apart. Like you said, the 49ers kind of exposed them. It was funny because I remember Bosa after that game kind of did that like whole rant talking about how they exposed them. And if, Dallas watches the tape and then,
yes.
Yeah, you remember that? And then sure enough, the Eagles didn't really win many games after that. So, I like the Eagles to win the division. I think the down division, we talked about it, the Giants, not very good. The Commanders, rookie quarterback, what are they going to do with them?
Still a year away from being relevant.
Yeah, I think so. They have some nice pieces, but I think they're going to be a year or 2 away. And the Cowboys, the Cowboys are the Cowboys, right? Always find a way to screw it up. I think the Eagles win that division. I don't know if they're Super Bowl or bust type of team. I still like the Niners in the NFC. I know you might not like to hear that. I'm the 49ers mush, but yeah.
True.
But,
yeah. Okay. So Eagles are the favorite, plus 115, Dallas plus 130, Commanders 9-1, and then the Giants have no shot. They're 10-1.
Yeah, I like the Eagles to win the division. And I sprinkled this a while ago, Barkley for offensive player of the year.
Okay.
I think Saquon, obviously he's got the injury problems, but I think people sometimes forget just how good he is and how bad that team was that he was on. So when you put him on a team like the Eagles that have a better O-line, a better quarterback, better wide receivers, it's just going to open up the whole field for him. So I think it's going to, add another layer to that team to make it tougher to stop. I think they became a little one-dimensional down the stretch last year, and I think he'll kind of open things back up for him.
I agree with you on that one. That's an interesting one that I didn't look at. I'm trying to see okay, so Jalen Hurts last year had 23 touchdown passes. His current line is at 21.5. So clearly books thinking there's going to be a little bit of regression here with his throwing arm or just touchdown passes. Over or under for you?
I like the over. I think I'm higher on the Eagles, I guess, than you. I
like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
I like Jalen Hurts.
I love Jalen Hurts. You add Barkley. Barkley is a very good pass catching running back. A couple screen passes Barkley takes to the house. You still got AJ Brown. You still got Devontae Smith. I like the over there for Jalen Hurts. Let's go, Kevin.
Yeah, look, I just think that they've got a tough schedule. They kind of had a little bit of not an easier schedule last year, but they got a tough schedule. They're seeing a lot of teams that had a winning percentage. I don't know. I'm just not that high on them. All right, moving on to the Cowboys. Their win total is at 10.5. Odds to win the division plus 130. I like them to win the division. I think they're fine in the regular season, Kenny. It's when they get to the postseason and they got to see the 49ers or the Green Bay Packers that they can't seem to get out of those games. Now, it's interesting because this, Jerry Jones waits a long time to do deals, which we've known, but it's just getting weirder and weirder this season. It's kind of make or break, right? Because you got contracts for Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. Their big three all need to be dealt with. Who do you think takes top priority? Is it Dak because he's the quarterback? Is it Micah because, he's this defensive machine that every year seems to be a contender for defensive player of the year? Is it CeeDee Lamb because who else he throwing to?
Yeah, you would. Naturally you would think it's Dak because it's the most important position on the
But
field.
they keep messing around with Dak. They keep
Yeah,
acting like he's I don't know. I don't like the way they treat Dak.
yeah, and that's why normally I would say Dak is the most important, probably who they'll lock up. But I feel like maybe they're kind of seeing, hey, we've had this guy, we've had talent all around him, we've given him all these different coaches, brought this guy in, that guy in.
Are the coaches good? Or the coaches yes men for Jerry Jones? I mean, it's like, are we really going to sit here and say Mike McCarthy is? I know he's won a Super Bowl, but like, come on.
No, but you bring in um they had Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, and then they had the good year there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
yeah,
they may be giving up on Dak because why would you have not, like, for example, the longer you wait, the more money he's going to get because the quarterback market just constantly is resetting. So if you knew a couple years ago, like, hey, Dak's our guy, you would
yeah,
have been able to pay him less had you signed him last year or 2 years ago.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think they'll probably go Micah Parsons is their biggest priority because
yeah.
he's, you know,
He's their biggest priority.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
I mean, it
younger
just is what
player.
it is.
He's top 5 defensive player in the league. He's a game wrecker. He can do all different things, like move them all around the field, defensive end, linebacker, drops back into coverage. So if I'm running the Cowboys, I would go Micah Parsons, number one priority.
Yeah, I just like I like Dak too, and Dak will sit there and say, I'm not in this for the money and this and that. But I just feel like he constantly gets jerked around by that organization. And I don't know, whatever. But I still think they win the division. You brought up Michael Parsons being the most important person for them to resign, or at least who you think that they're going to resign. Right now has odds of 5-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year. Do you think he? I mean, I think he has a shot pretty much. There's been 2 years in a row where he's been the front runner out the gates, and then things happen, and then people end up kind of surpassing him. But what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, he's live every single year. He's kind of like like him, TJ Watt, Miles Garrett. They're
Yeah,
just kind of like the
yeah,
Bosa, right?
Bosa.
Yeah, you can't forget him. So yeah, they're kind of like the cream of the crop, where it's going to be like those guys kind of duking it out for who's the best defensive player. The one thing I do like about him is, like you said, he's kind of exploded the past 2 seasons. Started off like really, really hot, looked like it was his award to lose, and then he kind of fizzled down the stretch, similar to the Cowboys. So I kind of like him this year. I think maybe contract year, comes into it, little chip on the shoulder, didn't win the award last year, could have given it to him. So yeah, I like Micah Parsons at 5-1 to get that this year.
What do you think of this 10.5 over or under for the boys?
I'm gonna go under. I think especially,
It's high.
yeah, it is high.
Hard to win 11 games.
Yeah, it's 11 games in the NFL is tough, but especially when you everything we've talked about, all the different, uncertainties. They didn't really do anything in the offseason to improve the team, right? Like, their biggest signing was Ezekiel Elliott. So they just haven't done
Womp,
much.
womp, womp.
And,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a head scratching situation because they've kind of been at the doorstep of like competing for a Super Bowl. And it just seems like they're always kind of like that one piece away. And it's Jerry Jones. You think like, oh, he'll just have an open checkbook and just bring what they need in, but they haven't done that. So yeah, I'm not high on the Cowboys this year. Something weird is going on there where, I don't think we know all of the details in that situation.
No. No, we never do with the Cowboys. I will say when it comes to, I know I'm like a Eagles hater, but Howie Roseman versus Jerry Jones. I mean, it's just, I mean, obviously much different even in jobs there. But okay, the Giants.
Hmm.
The Giants are going to be the worst team in the NFC East, and I don't even think it's going to be close, even though the Commanders are still 1 or 2 years away. Their win total 6.5. Odds to the division 10-1. Playoff 4-1. What did you think of the draft? I wanted them to go quarterback. Now, obviously, you know, Malik Neighbors is amazing. And it's exciting that they're going to have a true wide receiver one that they haven't had for a long time. But you get rid of Saquon Barkley. The O line is still questionable. And you've got Daniel Jones, who, in my opinion, had a fluke good season.
It's funny. I was watching TV the other day, and they had Trevor Lawrence and his stats, and then they put a little question mark, they grade out Daniel Jones, but they had all his stats. Their stats are literally identical.
Trevor Lawrence is a Trevor. Okay, Trevor Lawrence to me is just an interesting topic because coming out of the draft, he was supposed to be the next, coming of Jesus Christ or Andrew Luck, if you will. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
he's got that really terrible first season, but everyone's like, okay, Urban Myers, we're gonna throw this to be a wash. And then the next couple seasons have happened. It's like, wait, is he good?
Yeah. Yeah, it's but that's so there's again, I'm not a big Daniel Jones believer, but it's funny when he gets all the hate, and then you see the contract. A lot of hate was around the contract he was given, how much money the Giants decided to pay him, but then you see what Trevor Lawrence is getting, and they're almost the same exact type of player in the NFL. So
But
yeah,
Trevor Lawrence has a better reputation, I think, because of what he was able to do in college. People think that he could still get there. I don't think
of course.
anyone believes in Daniel Jones anymore.
No, yeah, it's you're right. It's the perception of Trevor Lawrence is whether it's just he hasn't clicked yet for him in the NFL, or they still that hope they're holding out that he's going to be that prospect that he came into the league, and he's got the hair, he just looks like the part. He's sunshine.
I'm
But
surprised that he hasn't done a Pantene commercial yet. I
yeah.
mean, that's just such a leaving money on the table.
Yeah. He's got to reach out to Katie Mox, publicist.
Hey,
But
got you
Giants,
20%.
I'm going under there on the win total. Not high in the Giants at all this year. I like the Malik Neighbors pickup.
Mhm.
As far as here's why I didn't love the quarterbacks after the first two. I think I liked Williams and I liked Jaden Daniels a lot. That's who I wanted the Patriots to get. Don't like Drake May, didn't like JJ McCarthy. Michael Penix could be good, but lefties don't usually work out
Yep.
that great in the NFL, and he's older. So at 6, if you have a chance to get like a surefire stud wide receiver, or
Yeah.
you're going to gamble and hope a quarterback works out, well, I would rather take the surefire stud wide receiver who, arguably is just as good as Marvin Harrison Jr. So I don't hate the pick. I just don't love the pick for what their team has, right? Like Daniel Jones is not going to make Malik Neighbors look amazing out there. So,
God, no. Yeah, I'm taking the under on the 6.5 too. I mean, I think it's hard to lose more. It's hard not to win at least 5 games in the NFL. So I think they get that, but to get 7, I just don't see this happening for them, especially when you got to play the Eagles and the Cowboys twice. Um, and even this Commanders team, I think, has a new energy and stuff around it. I think that's going to be a tough game for the Giants to play here. Some other interesting news is Darren Waller retired, released a music video from the perspective of his ex-wife Kelsey Plum. And I don't know if you watch this. In the end, she stabs him, and it's from her. The whole thing is so weird. And now he's got this rap career, and he's retiring. Just overall bad looks
yeah.
coming out of the Giants organization recently.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole video, so I didn't see
By
her
the way,
stab him at the end.
if you did, then you should, I think that you are entitled to some kind of,
Yes.
compensation if anyone watched the whole thing.
Now, I saw obviously, I mean, I feel like if you're on social media, you saw the clips,
Yes.
because they were it's a pretty viral moment for him. I saw like the first probably 20 seconds of it. And I was like, oh, this is fucking terrible. I got to turn this off. So, that was about as far as I made it in there. Now, do you think, obviously you see some of these football players and their actions like after football that, a little questionable, right? And do you think it's the CTE? I know Darren Waller has, I'm pretty sure he had like some past drug.
Substance abuse problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So do you think it's his life is kind of falling apart around him and he's just like going off the
Yeah.
deep end, or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
sad to see, you
I
know.
mean, look, I don't know, right? From speculation, because Kelsey Plum had put on her social story, like, I did everything to help that man and I finally had to give up. So that alludes to, right, allegedly that maybe he has relapsed in some way and she was trying to fight for it, but she couldn't. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just the perception that I got from what she said. And then he puts out these erratic music videos that, like, where are your friends and family being like, "Bro, no, you're
Yeah, where's your
not good.
agent?
It's not good. It's yeah, exactly. Like, there's nobody around you that's stopping you from putting out that hot trash, then, like, I don't know that you got people around you, which means something else going on. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going through some kind of, whether it be, God, I hope it's not some kind of relapse. I would hate for that to be the case, or maybe just some kind of like midlife crisis, right? Your career is ending, you're getting divorced, and this is his, red convertible
Yeah, and here's what I had to look it up because I
and
know,
toupee.
right, and here's what I don't understand. Like, do these people like do they? And I don't get it, right, Katie? This guy signed a $51 million contract extension, right, with the Giants. Dude, what are you doing? Take your money, go buy a nice house on an island somewhere, and just live the life, dude. To be
Yeah.
putting out music videos of,
Paying for it, funding it
yeah.
yourself. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I see
I
some of
can't. All
these.
right.
I see
Yeah.
some of these
What?
people that find success or fame and they get money, and I just think like, man, you guys are doing it all wrong, all wrong,
All wrong. Well, but yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine signing a $51 million like I
right? To
just
play
can't even
football,
imagine.
crazy.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about the Commanders. Their win total also 6.5. Look, we could talk about their division. Well, the playoff odds maybe kind of live, plus 290. Jalen Daniels touchdown passes is set to 17.5, pretty low. Any leans on the Commanders? I'm just not going to touch any futures on the Commanders this year. I just want to wait and see what they look like. I do think there's a new energy. I think they're going to win some games, but not quite sure what we're going to get.
Yeah, same as you. Probably gonna hold off on season futures as far as like win totals, things like that. I bet Jaden Daniels for offensive rookie of the year.
Love that.
Yeah, I think he's plus 550 on Caesars, not bad at all. He's coming into a good situation, right? There's good offensive pieces around him, good receiving core. So I think he could come in, shake the league up a little, look a little reminiscent of like Lamar Jackson kind of out there running around. And if you watch anything he did at LSU, the guy is an absolute stud and can play football out there. So plus 550, I like that a lot. And I'll definitely probably be betting on the Commanders a lot throughout the season. I think they'll probably be a team that's like
Game lines.
undervalued,
Yeah.
a scrappy team, kind of hanging in games and covering spreads. I don't think they'll win a ton of games, but I think they'll cover some spreads.
I love it. I'm going to look to do the same. But in terms of the futures market, I just don't, I want to see what the product looks like before we go too heavy into that. Kenny, as always, thank you so much for joining the show and lending your expertise and also talking some trash about Darren Waller with me. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate you. You can follow him at Kenny Bets Big on social. And you can follow us on social as well. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook, and we'll see you next time.